King tides flood the Florida coast.
We've gone through a few king tides and hurricanes, and we're used to the high waters.
How the government shutdown is impacting the National Weather Service.
People are worried about what's the timeline? What are we looking at? How long are we going to be out?
How goats are being used to prevent wildfires.
We got advice from a number of people, including Fire Chief Rick Boatwright, who said, Jim, you really should get some goats.
And the backyard pumpkins you have to see to believe.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. Tropical Storm Jerry formed in the Atlantic yesterday, and a second system in the Gulf has a small chance of developing in the coming days. Now, we're tracking the tropics for you again this morning. Here's Florida meteorologist Lauren Oleski.
We'll look across the Atlantic basin. We've got this wave that's in the Bay of Campeche there. Low development chance. This is going to be moving west, bringing heavy rain into Mexico. And then we've got Tropical Storm Jerry that is well off to our east-southeast right now with winds at 50 miles per hour. This is going to stay out to sea, at least not impacting us in Florida. The Leeward Islands will have to monitor this. This could become a hurricane as it moves very close to them by the end of this week. And then again, making that curve out to sea. Our name list for the year, this is our 10th named storm. If we see anything else get named, next name on our list is Karen and then Lorenzo. Hurricane season ends November 30th, so we have about a month and a half or so left.
A near record rainfall saturated Louisville, Kentucky on Tuesday. More than 4 inches of rain soaked the city, which triggered flash flood warnings in the region. At least one road collapsed. During that storm, the rising waters also washed out a number of other roads. Emergency workers responded to dozens of water-related calls. So far, though, no reports of any injuries. Officials say this was the third wettest day in October in Louisville history. And king tide season is in full swing along the coast of Florida, and with the recent full moon, the risk is even higher for flooding in low-lying areas. Antoinette Delbel has more.
Water-covered Flagler Drive in West Palm Beach during this morning's rush hour. That means king tides are back, and coastal communities could see some minor flooding.
Well, I always worry, but yeah, I'm hopeful.
This week will bring some of the highest tides of the year, known as king tides. That happened during a new or full moon. Don Bigelow says he woke up to find his dock behind his Stewart home on the Treasure Coast underwater.
My doggie doesn't like that because she likes to go fishing on the dock every morning, and she can't go on the dock when it's underwater.
We've gone through a few king tides and hurricanes, and we're used to the high waters.
King tide.
Paul Hines manages shrimpers in Port Salerno near the St. Lucie Inlet. He says Friday night's tide brought about 4 inches of water onto the restaurant's back deck.
What truly is waterfront dining became it that day.
Hines says the king tide has also flooded the inside of the family-owned restaurant, reaching as high as this second step, about 18 inches. But in its 33-year history, Shrimpers has been lucky. There's never been any major damage, and it hasn't affected the restaurant's bottom line.
It might actually help us because people come out like yourselves to look at how high the tide will be, and it definitely gives them something to talk about.
Well, thousands of National Weather Service employees are facing the prospect of missing their paychecks as the government shutdown continues. While they will continue to provide essential services for protecting life and property, there are some services that will be shuttered. Lynn Wynn has more.
All those bills, everything keeps getting pushed off, and collection notices and all that other stuff, so there's a great deal of worry.
For days since the government shutdown began, employees with the National Weather Service have been calling their union for guidance on what's happening with their next paychecks.
People are worried about what's the timeline? What are we looking at? How long are we going to be out?
Tom Fahey with the National Weather Service Employees Organization says during the last government shutdown, which started in 2018 and lasted 35 days, employees missed 3 paychecks, and it took some up to 2 months to get their back pay. Back pay President Trump now says not all furloughed employees may be guaranteed.
It depends on who we're talking about. I can tell you this, the Democrats have put a lot of people in great risk and jeopardy, but it really depends on who you're talking about. But for the most part, we're going to take care of our people. There are some people that really don't deserve to be taken care of, and we'll take care of them in a different way.
So when the president says we may not pay federal workers, he's violating or discussing violating a law that was passed during his administration that he signed into law. So it's really quite difficult.
Still, while some government agencies may face concerns of employee sickouts, Fahey says we should not expect that with the National Weather Service.
We're supposed to be at work. We are required to be at work. And all of our people know that. But we don't do sickouts.
And turning to northern Michigan now, where a wildfire burning near Houghton Lake is nearly contained after torching more than 100 acres of forest and marshland. But there's more to this fire than meets the eye. Tony Lundy has more.
The DNR says a half-inch of rain helped slow the wildfire's progress, but it's still going to take several days to fully extinguish hotspots deep in the ground.
So we're at 95% containment. It's 101 acres. It's in the box. It's not going anywhere. We got a half-inch of rain. We're just strictly there now. We'll be there putting out hot spots for several days.
High winds and dry vegetation made this fire tough to contain. Now, crews are working in marshy terrain where the flames can burn below the surface.
So with the drought, 300 is bad, 300 drought code. So we're in the 500 to 600 range. So that makes it really dry, deep down in the ground. So what this fire is going to do, it's burning deep in the ground. So it just takes more to mop it up, to put hot spots out.
Right now, about 20 to 25 DNR personnel are assigned to the fire. Local crews from the Roscommon Township Fire Department are also helping haul water and monitor flare-ups.
And depending on where you live, it's that time of year when officials start using rabies vaccine baits. For the most part, these baits will not hurt your pets, but there are some situations that can cause problems. Sarah Howler spoke with a pet owner whose dog ate one of those baits. You will hear that dog is okay. That's what the owner is telling us, but she wants people to take extra precaution.
I had never heard of it until it happened to my dog.
Stacy Domingo says she had no idea about the government's rabies bait drop until her dog Noah got sick.
He ate 3 and then I found a 4th wrapper in the yard. He vomited and had diarrhea and we had to go to the vet. It took several days to resolve and he needed medication.
Domingo says her pit bull mix ate several of these oral rabies vaccine baits back in 2020 after they were dropped across her Dalton property.
They say that it doesn't make animals sick except for an upset stomach and diarrhea, but to me that is sick.
The baits are part of a USDA Wildlife Services program, dropped from low-flying planes and helicopters each year to vaccinate wild animals like raccoons, skunks, and coyotes against rabies. In this photo, you can see the baits, twice the size of a quarter and coated with fish meal or sweet vanilla wax to attract wildlife. According to this notice from the United States Department of Agriculture, a few baits aren't harmful if eaten by pets, but consuming a, quote, large number can cause an upset stomach. And if your pet does eat the bait, they advise avoiding your pet's saliva for 24 hours and moving any remaining baits to a wooded area with gloves or a paper towel. Wildlife Services typically releases about 6.5 million of these baits every year across the Southeast. Veterinarian Aaron Edging says the baits are designed for wildlife, but pet owners should still be cautious.
Keeping them on a leash just to help decrease their exposure, especially if you live in an area where it's likely that a lot of bait's going to be dropped.
And for all the latest weather news and video, be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us on all your favorite social media platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll learn about the strongest tornado to hit the U.S. in over a decade. And we're also going to show you the unique way officials in Tennessee are dealing with invasive plant species that pose a risk for wildfires.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. The mild temps, the summer-like temps we've been getting used to in the Northeast, that's moving out. These temperatures today, they'll mostly be during the morning. Afternoon temps will be falling back down to the upper 50s and low 60s. There's the back edge of the rainfall in the Northeast. It's exiting off to the east. That's associated with a cold front. That cooler air will be moving in on a stiff northwesterly wind, and that will be making itself known on Thursday. It's going to be a windy day with highs in the 50s.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the mid-Atlantic region. A cold front's going to continue to push through the region, but we will likely dry out as we head into late Wednesday. So your afternoon should see a little bit of sunshine before all is said and done, and much cooler temperatures coming in behind that front, while we will still get to the low 70s in the afternoon for most areas, especially east of the mountains on Wednesday afternoon. It's likely to be much cooler going into Thursday as temperatures and humidity will drop dramatically.
Hi, meteorologist Jennifer Collins here with your southeast forecast. Heading into Wednesday morning, another mild one for most of the southeast with muggy conditions across South Florida as the humidity remains elevated. Temperatures start off in the upper 70s with the 60s for the Carolinas and low 70s along the North Gulf Coast. Temperatures in the afternoon on Wednesday ranging anywhere from the 80s to the upper 70s in inland Carolinas, upper 80s across South Florida with a chance for scattered showers for many coastal areas along the East Coast and South Florida.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A look at two adjacent storms swirling in the eastern Pacific. Satellite imagery captured Octave and Priscilla during the weekend. Here's Hurricane Priscilla's eye from Tuesday as it churned off the coast of Mexico. Moisture from Priscilla's remnants are expected to affect parts of the U.S. in the coming days, including Arizona and Utah. Now to Sun Valley, Idaho, and the brilliant fall colors on display there.
The National Weather Service says a June tornado that hit in North Dakota was an EF5. It's the first time a tornado of that strength has touched down the U.S. in over 10 years. Meteorologist Noah Hawk looks at what made the twisters so strong.
On October 6, 2025, the National Weather Service out of Grand Forks, North Dakota, updated their rating to a tornado that occurred back on June 20th of this year. Originally given an EF4 rating, has been upgraded to an EF5, the first in 12 years. This occurred over in Enderlin, North Dakota, here in this pink path. And not even a day later, they saw an EF2 tornado go through a similar area. But that EF5 grew to over a mile wide, so a very big tornado. It was also a nocturnal tornado, so it happened at night, which makes it all the more dangerous because you don't have the sun to help shine a light on the tornado so you can see where it is. You have to rely on the lightning within the storm to help illuminate it. But what exactly got it to that EF5 status? Well, they reanalyzed some of those max winds and now saw max wind gusts of around 210 miles an hour. And when we look at our enhanced Fujita scale, which is the scale we use to rate tornadoes, the threshold for an EF5 is right about 200 miles an hour. But that scale also takes into account damages. So when they reanalyzed some of those damage points, they saw it was a little worse off than they first analyzed them at. But it also happened to derail a train and throw an empty tanker over 450 feet. So this is a very powerful tornado that broke a streak of over 12 years without an EF5.
And some might call it pure luck, but a man whose car fell into the Pensacola Bay during pouring rain Sunday says it's divine. Melanie Levy has that story.
He's calling his survival a miracle from God. On Sunday morning, Chad McNair hydroplaned, flipping his car off the Bob Sykes Bridge.
It bounced up on the rail and teeter-tottered on the rail
and then it just fell in the ocean.
Law enforcement says the call came in around 8 a.m. It was pouring rain. McNair was on his way to work at the Circle K convenience store on Pensacola Beach when he plummeted into the ocean.
It was a very, 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 very scary moment. But so as the car is upside down, and I'm upside down in the car, I'm panicking extremely bad. Like, I'm telling myself I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. Like, over and over, multiple times, because like I didn't see a way out. All my windows was up because it was raining very bad.
Desperate for oxygen and panic setting in, he swam to the back of his car. That's when McNair says God led him to the surface.
Supernatural feeling took over my body. It grabbed my arm and it led me to a place where I could escape that car. I swam up into a rip current, come out of the current, and then the people on the seawall, they pulled me up to safety.
McNair says he still doesn't know exactly how he escaped from the car, saying everything happened so fast. He also doesn't know how he survived the impact. Regardless, he's thankful to be alive.
It was God that pulled me up out of it. Like, I don't know why or the reason, but here I am.
A small island in the middle of Tennessee River is gaining national attention. Officials are using a unique method to help remove dry and dead plants that could pose a risk for wildfire. Meg Doyle has that story.
The goats are phenomenal at getting into this dense, and I keep calling it a jungle because you can't walk through it.
Invasive plants like English ivy and Japanese honeysuckle took over about 80% of McClellan Island.
The first thing we tried to do last year was a prescribed burn or controlled burn.
However, when the fire department tried to light some of the invasive plants, they would not burn.
We got advice from a number of people, including Fire Chief Rick Boatwright, who said, Jim, you really should get some goats.
More than a year later, there are currently 4 goats working away on the island.
When I came over here, it was literally a jungle. You couldn't hardly get through anywhere. There was stuff all over the trails. You couldn't walk. Now you can walk on the trail.
The goats are fenced off to an acre at a time and get moved every month or so when they're done grazing in that area.
We've only touched the 20 acres that we have here, so I think it's going to be part of a permanent forest management plan that we have here.
The thing about this is it's kind of a ongoing effort, so it's going to take a while for everything to get through, and then you have the continuous maintenance they have to do to make sure that it stays gone.
The goats are drawing more visitors to the island.
The goats are cute, the work is fun, and it's just a good old time.
Well, sometimes the most extraordinary things come from the most ordinary places. In a Vermont backyard, it's a giant pumpkin. Sophia Thomas tapped into the journey from starter seed to an orange stunner that tips the scales at nearly 1,800 pounds.
It gets a little geeky sometimes.
Before his world turned orange, pumpkins were a simple fall decoration at John Young's Jericho home.
I told my wife, we can grow pumpkins. I'm not going to pay for pumpkins again. So now we pay like 50 times more to grow giant pumpkins.
Is it worth it?
100%.
Then he grows them in just 2,400 square feet of backyard.
I think we probably have one of the smallest lots of any giant pumpkin growers in the world.
Young has 3 pumpkins this year. He even named them. His gal, Mary Lou, setting a personal weight record and placing 4th at Sam Maz's Way Off. His Cinderella-esque pumpkin, Katie, is off to the Topsfield Fair in Massachusetts. Young recruited help for the load up.
He's been calling when he has to move him to all the different events and stuff, so yeah, I enjoy it.
Has it thrown out your back?
No, they got it down pretty good.
You didn't realize how strong you were.
They start as seeds under lights inside, moving to the yard in early summer. For Young's neighbors, it's like Halloween in July.
Youngs are back at it already. It's kind of neat to walk by and just watch the progress through the months.
By fall, a few pumpkins usually split open from the rapid growth and succumb to rot.
It's worse than devastating. It's heartbreaking.
But it makes the last pumpkin standing extra special.
Every pumpkin that makes it to the Way Off is an accomplishment.
Young never expects to win first or even second place, and that's not his goal. For him, it's about enjoying the community of growers and the supersized spectacles in his yard.
I think I'm still fascinated by them after almost 30 years to to see a pumpkin that's like the size of a ping pong ball or smaller, by 15 days it's bigger than a beach ball. And then it just goes up and up and up from there. So it's amazing.
And time now for a short break, but first we take in the views of Baltimore City, Maryland.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Sandra Buck-Michael. Over the past few days, we've been watching the rain moving its way across the Midwest, and that is now kicked out to the East Coast. So we've got dry weather for pretty much all of the Midwest as we go through your day today. Heading into the day tomorrow, we'll see a few more clouds out across the plains, but most of us are dry and got a few showers trying to pop up on Friday with temperatures in the 70s or 60s for most of the Midwest.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. Things are waking up pretty nice early in the morning. Nice and cool, but a little rainy up for Amarillo. Very warm and humid all the way down into Brownsville. A weak cold front will go back up as a warm front today. That means scattered hit and miss showers from San Antonio to Houston back up into Amarillo. Temperatures will be warm. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Wednesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Out west, we could use some rain around the PNW. We will just have to settle for cooler and stronger onshore flow, dropping us into the 60s for Seattle and Portland. Air quality has been a little iffy because of nearby fires. Meanwhile, back into the 70s in San Diego, still 99 in Phoenix, and widening the view, we have Hurricane Priscilla off the coast of Cabo, expected to turn toward Arizona and bring some helpful rain by the weekend. And that's the scene from here.
I'm Matt Monroe, Chief Meteorologist at News 4 in Reno, Nevada, and you're watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, we spoke earlier about king tides, but do you know just how dangerous even a small amount of water can be in your car? Meteorologist Vitas Reed explains.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. I wanted to talk to you about flooding concerns and dangers out there. There's plenty of opportunity for heavy thunderstorms that can drop plenty of amounts of rainfall, creating flash flooding or flooding in your area. So these are some pointers that you want to remember. 6 inches of fast-moving water can knock over and carry away an adult, a person in that rushing water. So that's very dangerous. 12 inches of fast-moving water can carry away a small car, and then 18 to 24 inches of fast-moving water can carry away most SUVs, vans, and small trucks. So just always remember that if you see water flooding, turn around, don't drown. These are the safety precautions you want to remember.
And looking for more weather content just like this, we post all of the latest content from our team of meteorologists across the country. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left corner of your screen. We'll be right back. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great day, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.